Let's see. This person said they're gay and can't love a woman. I'm sad and confused. Please pray for me. Let me tell you something. I don't even want to share it. So the other night, I was shown hell, and it's absolutely terrible. It was this. It's like I woke up there. I don't know how to explain it. And I was in this dark cave. I cried for like 3 days, and I think I finally processed it, so I don't think that I'll cry now. I was in this dark, like, ancient cave. It was like old and ancient, and there was like murky, dirty, reddish brown clay that I was standing in. I couldn't smell anything. I was protected from the pain and from the smell, okay? But I looked, and there was this guy, and there was these demons around him. There was one specific, and it looked like a praying mantis, like a praying mantis type of head, eyes, but they were like red, okay? Demonic looking, serpent-like eyes, but also red. Some of them had yellow eyes, and they had this weird insect-like, but also reptilian body. It was a mix of like some kind of like snake, chameleon, some sort of weird mix of like different insect pieces mixed with human, mixed with some sort of serpent, mixed with praying mantis, okay? And they still had kind of like a human form, so to speak. And there was this guy there, and he was into this stuff, you know. He was into BDSM and this stuff, and not that being into that is, you know, makes a person gay or a person's gay if they're in that, but the way I see it is if you put things inside of yourself as a man, that's gay. There's no way around it. You're doing the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's symbolic or whatever. It's gay, period, end of story, right? And this guy was there, and I watched this demon pull open his jaw, ripped it apart, and he had his hand with these nasty claws, and he had these teeth that were like, I don't even know, like, not just like mandibles, but he was laughing, they were laughing, and he was getting aroused while he was doing this. He ripped this guy's jaw open and reached his hand down inside of his throat, all the way down, passed into his belly, through his rectum, and grabbed a hold of him and ripped him to pieces. And this guy was screaming somehow, but nobody could breathe, and he was screaming at the top. I've never heard anyone scream like this. And somehow, even with a hand in his throat, he was still able to scream. It was supernatural. And he was going through all of this sin, and that was one of the things that he went through, was being homosexual. And this demon just grabbed and reached in and ripped him apart from the inside out and tore him to pieces. Just from the inside out, ripped him to pieces. And this guy is screaming, and you would think that he would die after he was torn apart. And he regenerated, and the pressure and the heat and the loneliness and the despair and the rejection and the creatures, the soda can worms with nasty jagged teeth were destroying him. There was no peace. There was no rest. He regenerated, and there was no rest. So then the scene shifts. It's like everything reset, and I could see that darkness. It was like, it's like a heavy, thick, oppressive pressure. And this guy, everybody was naked. Nobody had clothes. Everybody was naked in this disgusting filth of this place. And he was still in pain. He's still being tortured. But somehow he was oblivious. And this demon's huge. 30-foot tall, 30-foot tall demon. I don't even know how they were so tall when everything's felt so small. Like you couldn't even move. And it projected itself. It wasn't even a female. It was a male demon. And it had like a red face with stripes on it and these nasty teeth. And they were lizard eyes, yellow, ugly, yellow, sick eyes. They got pleasure from torturing this person. So he's like being led in on his hands and feet. And these demons, there was 3 of them, they were disguised as women dressed up like BDSM people. And I could hear their thoughts. I knew that they were going to destroy him, tear him to pieces, rip his penis off and shove it up his own butt. All of this stuff that they were planning to do, tear his flesh off, rip his teeth out rip his bones out, rip his bones apart inside of him and pull the flesh off and rip right, like you can't even imagine. It's worse than anything. And they were disguised as these BDSM women. And to him, they looked like these women. But you could see them up and kind of crouched. It's like, I don't know how they were crouched. Kind of like if you had grasshopper's legs, but backwards. And they were crouched like that. But they were still like 15 feet tall when they were crouched. And he looked like these BDSM women. And I saw the 2 in front of him. He was like scared and apprehensive. And he didn't know what was going on, but he was thinking in his head, even though he was scared, this is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I wanted from the afterlife. He thought he was going to have some sort of like wonderful, awesome time. Like that was what he wanted on earth. That was his number one big sin. And he was not a Christian. And that was the thing that he went to, and he sought after it all the time. And I could see him. They were putting him in chains, and they were bending him over like a rock table. And I could still hear this demon and hear their thinking, and I could hear, this is only a couple days ago. The part that really just, I don't know why this part haunts me the worst. But with this sick look in their face, with this sick sound in their voice, and I could hear their thoughts and their intention of what they were planning to do. So they were getting turned on by causing pain and anguish. And it wasn't like you could just tell that they had these weird, disgusting genitals, and they were literally getting erect, getting ready to torture this person. And that what they said, and I don't know why this is to me is one of the worst parts. They said, "Are you ready to be tortured?" In like this seductive, demonic voice. And the person was terrified, but he couldn't not go along with it. He just kept going along with it, but he was scared. He didn't know what to think, but he knew what was coming, and he couldn't help himself. Because you don't get better in hell. You don't just suddenly recognize that you, like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Oh, I'm changed, Jesus. That doesn't happen. You get worse in hell. Like, these demons get worse and worse and worse, and they were going to tear him apart. And I was watching, and you can hear the screaming. I don't even know how they can scream. And they would just, I recognized that. At first I thought, I must be in some sort of dream. I must be having a lucid dream. Why am I dreaming this? This doesn't make any sense. I said, this doesn't make any sense. What's happening? I was panicking. Then when I was watching that, and they were about to tear him to pieces, like they were reaching for him, they were gonna just pull his head and rip him to pieces. And I started to cry out, and I said, "Jesus, help! Jesus, help me! Jesus, please help me!" It was so bad. Let me tell you this, man. I can tell you this. I can't read Japanese, so I don't know what your name is, but I can tell you, you don't want to go to hell and go through that. You can't even understand how bad it is. It's so bad. Anyway, I didn't want to talk about that. So give me a second while I get it together. I was doing good. Oh, man. Trust me, all right? Listen, this is why you evangelize to people. You can't imagine what they're going through down there. And they are constantly thinking of new ways to torture you. Constantly. They just invent new ways to sin, new ways to torture you. Anyway.